Welch girls turns up dry.
We've got an alert day for us today as we've got a red flag warning for some parts of the area through 7 tonight. We'll talk about the wind, we'll talk about the temperatures and the rain coming up.
And former Trump advisor Steve Bannon is sentenced to 4 months behind bars.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Family members say the latest search for the missing Welch girls turned up empty again. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, 2 more locations detectives can mark off their list. It's been nearly 23 years since Ashley Freeman and Laura Bible disappeared. On Thursday, acting on a tip, the FBI, OSBI, and 2 sheriff's departments searched 2 separate sites in the Pitcher, Oklahoma area where the 2 teens were last known to be alive. Ashley Freeman and Laura Bible went missing on December 30th, 1999 from Freeman's burned-out home in Welch, Oklahoma. Danny and Kathy Freeman were found shot to death amongst the rubble. There were no signs of the 2 teens at the crime scene. Investigators believe Ashley and Laura were kidnapped and later murdered, but their bodies were never found. Laura Bible's parents watched as investigators dug yesterday. Even after all these years, the community is eager for answers.
Craig County is wonderful. I mean, there's nothing, and a lot of people that have followed this for 20 years, there's nothing they wouldn't do. I mean, when we put the Facebook page on about 12 o'clock to let people know what we were doing today, it's already got like 5,000, 6,000 hits in 2 hours, so.
The 2 sites they were digging both had known root cellars. One is on College Street in Pitcher, where the current memorial to the girls is located. It was formerly the location that long-deceased suspect Philip Welch lived in a trailer. The other is on Cherokee Avenue, property formerly owned by the mayor of Pitcher. You can read more about the continued investigation on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, hold on to your hats and your skirts, ladies. Chris Warner joins us with the first look at the forecast.
Yeah, it's going to be breezy, already getting windy out there right now, and that's why some of us under a red flag warning through 7 tonight. If you are in the pink on this map, which is southwest Missouri, Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties in southeast Kansas, and all of northeast Oklahoma, that red flag warning goes until 7 o'clock tonight because we've got wind gusts today from 25, say 30 miles an hour. And as we head into tonight, they're going to pick up even more as we approach 35 to 40 miles an hour. We're going to talk about the wind here in just a few minutes as well. Right now, look at these temperatures. We are in the mid to upper 70s across the area. 77 Neodesha, 78 in Chanute, 74 in Pittsburgh, and we've got 77 in Joplin, where we've got clear skies for right now. You can see a few stray cirrus clouds out there. We got more on the way as the day goes on. It doesn't, no wind chill, thankfully. Wind already south-southwest at 13 outside, and as we go through the rest of the afternoon, we're going to warm up nicely across the area, in Joplin especially, in the lower 80s, and we don't cool off very quickly tonight either. We're going to talk about that situation as well because it's going to be quite warm tonight. All right, drought situation as well. No updates, no changes. As you can see, though, exceptional drought for a huge chunk of the area. Surrounding that is the extreme drought, and then we've got severe drought around that. We do have more rain on the way, which is definitely a good thing, but we need a lot in order to make a dent in this drought. Again, going through today, we're looking at 81 for the high, still going to be very windy with increasing clouds later this evening. We're going to talk about the wind through the weekend and the upcoming rain chances we could see here in just a few minutes.
It's always something. It's either hot temperatures or cold temperatures, and now we've got the wind.
Yeah, now we've got the wind, and then we've got some decent rainfall on the way, which is good. We need the rain, but too much rain in too short a time could be a bad thing.
In the meantime, enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, beautiful weekend so far.
Just don't blow away. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, the Ottawa County Sheriff says the recent escape of 4 inmates was not a jail issue, but rather the fault of a jailer. The inmates escaped October 4th by running through a door left open while repairmen were working in the jail pod. By October 7th, all of the inmates were back in custody. KOAM's Carrie Worthen sat down with the sheriff to find out more.
What happened, it wasn't the jail's fault, it was employees' fault.
Sheriff David Dean said contractors were working in one of the pod's rec yards. As the contractors went in and out, the jailer did not close the door behind him.
So these 4 inmates just followed him out. And once they got to that north door to get to the Sally Port, they bum rushed the jailers that was standing there, and they were gone.
Now, the sheriff did say this was not a jail issue, but a jailer who left the door open as the inmates escaped.
But right now, it has nothing to do with this jail. You know, that door locked. And everybody's like, well, why is the Sally Port door open? Well, the Sally Port door was open because they was welding and cutting metal in the Sally Port, so they needed that as ventilation. Is that an excuse? No, it shouldn't have been open.
Sheriff Dean said it's a staffing issue, but can't afford to hire more jailers.
124 inmates is our capacity. Each shift has 3 to 4 people on it. You divide that up. That's 40 inmates per staff member. Every county jail around here is like that. Nobody has enough people. So it's just, and you can't keep an eye on them. I mean, we've got open pods where you've got 30 people in a pod. You can't keep an eye on everybody. It's something that I'm not very happy about. But no, this one could have been fixed. And we're making sure doors locked now.
In Miami, Carrie Worthen, KOAM News.
Sheriff Dean says these 4 are the only inmates who have escaped this year in Ottawa County. Well, it's Judgment Day for Steve Bannon. The former Trump aide received his punishment today for failing to cooperate with the congressional committee investigating the January 6th Capitol attack. Skylar Henry reports from Capitol Hill.
A defiant Steve Bannon ignored protesters' shouts as he arrived at federal court for his sentencing.
Remember, this illegitimate regime, their judgment day is on 8 November, when the Biden administration ends.
A district judge sentenced the former aide to then-President Trump to 4 months in prison plus a fine. A jury convicted him in July of 2 counts of contempt of Congress for refusing to comply with the subpoena from the January 6th committee for testimony and documents about the planning of the Capitol attack.
Bannon, who previously called members of the committee gutless, becomes the first person with close ties to former President Trump to be sentenced to prison time in the fallout from the Capitol attack.
Trump's former trade advisor, Peter Navarro, is expected to stand trial next month. As for Bannon, the judge said he'll hold off on imposing the sentence while Bannon appeals. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Bannon is also facing separate legal problems in New York. Last month, prosecutors charged him with money laundering, conspiracy, and scheming to defraud donors who wanted to build a wall along the U.S. border with Mexico. Bannon called those charges politically motivated. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, we zip on over to the Paris Auto Show, where industry leaders show off the latest in green technology for cars and SUVs. And later, we're making a classic chicken fricassee in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. The Paris Motor Show is one of the most important car shows where many companies roll out their latest and greatest. Automakers are gathering in the French capital for the first time in 4 years, and it's all about one thing: electricity. CBS's Ian Lee takes us there.
With flash and flare, the future of driving is on display. From what will hit the road soon to the maybe someday. At this year's Paris Motor Show, tomorrow's cars are electric. Summed up in a few words,
the world, as you say, is changing rapidly.
To stay ahead of the competition, automakers are driving more battery-powered cars into the mainstream, like the new Jeep Avenger, a fully electric SUV. Steering the industry to a greener road is an EU regulation requiring all new vehicles to be emissions-free by 2035. French President Emmanuel Macron praised the shift after jumping behind the wheel, saying how it's helping the country achieve its climate goals. But electric cars can be expensive. So French company Renault designed one for sharing.
So for most people, it's easier to manage a budget if you just use the mobility means at the time you need for the specific needs you have at that period of time.
But it's not all about electrifying the future. Some companies are switching to a different kind of gas. Newcomer Namex sees hydrogen powering autos. One more option on the road to tomorrow. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
This year's show also highlighted another sign of the times by what was not on display. And some noticeable big hitters like Porsche, Audi, and Volkswagen stayed home to save money. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
If you've heard of fricassee but aren't sure exactly what it is, then you'll want to stick around for our easy version, and boy, is it ever good.
But first, Chris Warner returns with your complete forecast.
Well, we've got a very windy day ahead of us and a very windy weekend ahead of us as well. And that's why we have an alert day today. We have alert days through the weekend. We have a red flag warning for some of us through 7 o'clock tonight, which you can see on this map. If you are in the pink, you are under a red flag warning until 7 o'clock tonight. I would not be surprised to see these reissued by tomorrow. We go through today. Wind gusts say 25, 30 miles an hour. As we head into the evening, the wind gusts pick up. Check out these wind gusts 3:30 in the morning. Yeah, we're talking around 40 miles an hour, possibly a little more than that. And they're going to stay that strong as we head all the way through Saturday, into Saturday night, into Sunday night. And we'll still have gusty winds come Monday afternoon, pushing about 30, maybe even 35 miles an hour ahead of a system that's coming in and bringing us some much needed rain chances. 7th and range line looking pretty good. Wind's not too bad yet, but it'll get there. 77 in Joplin, south-southwest wind at 13 miles an hour, and temperatures across the area are very warm compared to what we saw before. And again, like we had this morning, an odd temperature anomaly is happening on this map. These temperatures are not real in northeast Oklahoma. I do not know what's going on, but it's still holding on there. They had it below freezing this morning, and it was not. We got 77 in Neodesha, 76 in Parsons, 74 in Pittsburgh, and 76 in Lamar. For allergy sufferers, some bad news on the way because pollen counts are continuing to rise. We're looking at a 3.6 out of 12 for today and a 4.6 out of 12 tomorrow. Still forecast to reach close to 8 by Monday, so if you are suffering from allergies, be aware of that. Going through today. We'll have increasing clouds later in the day. Not many out there now, but we'll have a few more later. Afternoon high of 81 will be 80 by 5 and 67 by 8 o'clock tonight. And as we head into the evening, as I mentioned, the wind gusts will pick up. And additionally, our temperatures do not drop back that much. We'll have an overnight low of 65, but we'll have more clouds. So it'll be mostly cloudy through most of the evening. Friday night football kicking off this evening, and it's going to be decent except for two things. One, cloud interference, and two, something that's not on there, wind interference. We're looking at 70 by kickoff, 65 at the end of the game, and depending on the positioning of your field, this wind may work to your advantage. On the other hand, it may not, so just be aware if you're on the field tonight, it's going to be very windy out of the south. We got mostly cloudy Saturday and Sunday for the weekend. We're looking at 80 on Saturday and windy, 82 on Sunday and windy, but we're also watching the possibility of a stray shower or thunderstorm late Sunday evening on the Missouri side, which we can take a look at on the future track. There it is. This is about 4:30, and it's been showing up in roughly the same spot, but we're looking for this to be confined to the Missouri side. We're not expecting any kind of widespread activity on Sunday. Then, as we head into Monday, we see a system off to our northwest. It's actually associated with the low pressure that's off to our southwest, and it's going to roll in here and give us much more widespread shower and thunderstorm activity through most of Tuesday and into Wednesday morning. Then we quiet down for a little bit before we see another system by Friday making its way our way to bring us more shower and thunderstorm activity as we head into next weekend. Now let's take a look at your 7-day forecast. Alert days tomorrow and Sunday as well because of those 40-mile-an-hour plus wind gusts. We have better evening thunderstorm chances Monday, better storm chances Tuesday, 50 on Wednesday. That's our overnight low, and temperatures will gradually drop. We're not looking at them plummeting through the day on Wednesday, but they will fall through the day Wednesday. 39 the overnight low. By Thursday, we are partly cloudy and 64. It's still early, but some of the rainfall models are showing upwards of 3 inches of rain by the time this first system is done with us Wednesday morning. And so that's another concern, is we could see maybe some strong storms with this system. We'll keep an eye on that, but the other part of it is while we need the rain, it's looking to dump a lot of rain in a short amount of time. And so flooding could be a concern. But again, we're still a few days out from that. We'll keep an eye on all of it and let you know first thing Monday morning for sure what we're looking at for Tuesday.
In the meantime, you really got me thinking about those wind gusts tonight and how many football teams are playing on fields that are positioned either east and west or north and south. Because if it's east and west, then neither team has an advantage really over the other, but
no, but it makes
North
the
and South
gameplay a little more difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah, North and South oriented fields
could make those field goals a little harder.
Jung Stadium in Joplin, for example, positioned north to south. So, and of course they switch the direction of play.
Yep.
So, you know, you're going to split the advantage, but just be aware of that. And if you are an east-west field, when you're pitching that ball, be aware it's going to be carried a little further off to one side or the other.
Need to practice a little, yeah. All right, thanks, Chris. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Gunnery Sergeant James Johns in the U.S. Marines. The Quapaw, Oklahoma native joined the military in 1969. He fought in Vietnam until 1970. To Gunnery Sergeant James Johns, we thank you, our four-state hero. Well, if you're looking for a recipe that'll make you feel good through and through, get ready for this one. Howard shows us how to make his classic chicken fricassee in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
As the weather cools down, most of us start craving dishes that'll warm us up from the inside out. And even if the temperature doesn't take a big dip, the one-pot classic we're making today, chicken fricassee, will make you feel good through and through. If you're not familiar with fricassee, let me show you how to make a simple version of this French classic. The first thing we do is saute a cut-up chicken that we seasoned and coated with flour. Once browned, we take it out of the pot and saute some carrots, onions, and celery till they're tender. Then we add some chicken broth, a bunch of spices, and bring it to a boil. Next, we'll add the chicken back in along with some sliced mushrooms, and we'll let that simmer till the chicken's cooked through. Maybe serve this over some curly cooked noodles so they can soak up all that flavor-packed sauce. The nice thing about this, besides how easy it is that everything cooks in one pot, so cleanup's a breeze. To get the recipe for our classic chicken fricassee, check out our website. I'm Howard of the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found an easy French classic way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our four-state market prices.
Talk about a busy 7-day forecast there. Alert days today, tomorrow, and Sunday for wind gusts pushing 40 miles an hour. Thunderstorms Monday evening, thunderstorms throughout the day Tuesday, thunderstorms Wednesday morning, and then by Thursday, partly cloudy and 64.
All right.
That'll be nice.
Going to get that rain in soon.
We need it for sure.
What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Whole lot at 5. For starters, an urgent new warning for parents about a respiratory virus that's hitting infants and young children harder and earlier than usual this year. It's called RSV and is basically the common cold. We're going to look at the symptoms in Health Watch. Plus, President Biden visits a Delaware college to tout the benefits of his order to cancel up to $10,000 in student debt from millions of Americans, and how a weekend 5K run will help an Oklahoma woman in her race against cancer. Hope you'll join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right. Thank you, Dal. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.